There comes a time in life when we must take a hard look at ourselves and the way we live. Too many people walk through this world trying to please everyone, giving all they have and expecting nothing in return. They bend, they sacrifice, and they pour themselves out until there is nothing left. And what do they receive? More demands, more expectations, more people who take advantage of their kindness. Kindness is a virtue, a beautiful and powerful force, but even virtues must be tempered with wisdom. Being good, being compassionate, these are things we should all strive for. But hear me when I say this: not everyone deserves your kindness. Not everyone who comes into your life has good intentions. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. There are those who will take your kindness and twist it. They will use it to manipulate you, to weaken you, to drain you. But your person you once were. Some of you listening today know exactly what I mean. You've spent years trying to be the good one, the selfless one, the person who always says yes, who never complains, who puts everyone else first. And what has it brought you? Have you found joy? Have you found peace? Or have you found yourself exhausted, frustrated, and unappreciated? My friend, you were not created to be a doormat. You were not created to be used and discarded by those who only care for their own gain. You were created with a purpose, with a calling, with a fire inside of you that should not be dimmed by the selfishness of others. It is time to stop being kind to everyone. It is time to discern. It is time to know who is worthy of your time, your love, and your kindness. There are people in this world who will uplift you, who will encourage you, who will stand beside you as you walk the path before you. Those people deserve your kindness. But there are also those who will take and take until you have nothing left. And for those people, you must learn to say no. Saying no does not make you unkind. Setting boundaries does not make you selfish. Protecting your heart, your mind, and your soul is not a sin. It is wisdom. It is strength. It is the very thing that will allow you to live with purpose rather than exhaustion, with joy rather than resentment. There is a power in choosing where your kindness goes. There is a strength in reserving your heart for those who will cherish it rather than those who will trample it. The world is full of people who will drain you if you let them. But you have a choice. You have the ability to stand firm, to guard what is precious, to stop being kind to everyone and start being wise with your kindness. Kindness is one of the most beautiful traits a person can possess. It has the power to heal wounds, to restore hope, and to bring light into the darkest of places. It is a gift, a virtue that reflects the depth of a person's character. But like any great virtue, kindness must be exercised with wisdom. It must be given with discernment, not blindly offered to all without consideration. The unfortunate reality is that not everyone who receives kindness values it. Some see it as an opportunity, a weakness to exploit rather than a blessing to cherish. From childhood, many are taught that being kind means always saying yes, always giving, always sacrificing for the sake of others. But the truth is, kindness without boundaries is a dangerous thing. It is like an open well that is drawn from by many, yet never replenished. Eventually, the well runs dry. The same happens to people who give endlessly, never stopping to consider whether the recipient truly deserves their kindness. There are those in this world who thrive on the generosity of others, not with gratitude, but with expectation. They take what is given, and when nothing is left, they move on to the next person who will offer them the same unquestioning kindness. They do not reciprocate. They do not appreciate. They see kindness as something to be taken advantage of, rather than something to be honored. Many people have found themselves in situations where they continue to be kind to someone who only drains them. It could be a friend who constantly asks for help but never offers support in return. It could be a family member who guilt trips them into always saying yes. It could be a colleague who takes credit for their hard work, yet still expects them to be accommodating and agreeable. In every one of these cases, kindness is being misused. It is being poured into a vessel with no bottom, never filling up, never returning anything in kind. There are those who believe that kindness should be unconditional, that it should be extended to all without question. But this is not wisdom. True kindness is not about allowing others to walk all over you. It is not about enabling selfishness or tolerating mistreatment. True kindness has a backbone. It knows when to give and when to withhold. It recognizes the difference between a person who needs kindness and a person who simply expects it without giving anything in return. The world is full of people who will drain the energy, time, and resources of those who allow them to. They do not stop to consider the impact of their actions. They do not care about the exhaustion they leave behind. They take and they take and they take again. And the person who gives, thinking that kindness will eventually change them, finds themselves depleted, frustrated, and wondering why their generosity has not been met with gratitude. Kindness should never be mistaken for naivety. It should never be given at the expense of one's own well-being. Some people do not see kindness as an act of love, but as a sign of weakness. They see a kind person and assume that they can be controlled, manipulated, and used for their own benefit. This is why discernment is crucial. It is why kindness must be directed wisely. A kind heart is a gift, but it must not be left unguarded. It must not be open to anyone and everyone without thought. Some will cherish it, but others will abuse it. There is a difference between being kind and being taken advantage of, and every person must recognize where that line is drawn. Kindness should be given where it will bear fruit, not where it will be wasted. Boundaries are often misunderstood. Some believe that setting boundaries means shutting people out, being unkind, or acting selfishly. But in reality, boundaries are a form of strength. They are a necessary part of protecting one's mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. Without boundaries, people find themselves drained, overwhelmed, and constantly sacrificing their own needs for the sake of others. Many people struggle with saying no. They feel guilty for turning someone down, for not always being available, for prioritizing their own time and energy. They have been conditioned to believe that being a good person means always being accommodating, always being generous, always making sacrifices. But when kindness comes without limits, it is often exploited. People quickly learn who is willing to always say yes, who will go out of their way without asking for anything in return. And once that pattern is set, it becomes difficult to break. A person without boundaries becomes a target for those who seek to take advantage of kindness. There are people who do not respect the time or energy of others. They ask for favors without considering the burden they are placing. They expect constant availability, instant responses, and unwavering support. And if they receive it, they continue to ask for more. Without boundaries, there is no limit to how much they will take. Setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty, but of self-respect. A person who values their time, energy, and emotional well-being understands that they cannot be everything to everyone. They cannot be the person who always says yes, who always gives, who always sacrifices. They must learn when to say no, when to step back, and when to put their own needs first. Some people will not like it when boundaries are set. They have grown comfortable with the idea that certain individuals will always be available to them. The moment they encounter resistance, they push back. They may try to make a person feel guilty for saying no, They may accuse them of being selfish, uncaring, or distant. This is a tactic meant to break down boundaries, to make a person feel as though they are in the wrong for protecting their own well-being. But those who react negatively to boundaries are often the very people who benefited from their absence. There is a misconception that strength is shown through endurance, through pushing past exhaustion, through continuing to give no matter the personal cost. But real strength is found in knowing when to step away. It is found in recognizing one's own limits and refusing to be taken advantage of. Strength is not about being endlessly available. It is about knowing when to say enough is enough. People who lack boundaries often find themselves resentful. They give and give, but their kindness is rarely appreciated. They feel unrecognized, undervalued, and used. They begin to wonder why their efforts are not reciprocated, why their sacrifices go unnoticed. The reason is simple. When kindness comes without limits, it is no longer seen as a gift, but as an expectation. Those who constantly say yes become the ones people assume will always be there, and the moment they try to set a boundary, they are met with resistance. Learning to say no is one of the most important lessons a person can embrace. It does not mean shutting others out. It does not mean being unkind. It means valuing oneself enough to recognize that not every request deserves a yes. Not every person is entitled to time, energy, or attention. Some people will take all that is given to them without a second thought, and they will continue to take until there is nothing left. A strong person knows that their kindness is a privilege, not an obligation. They understand that in order to truly help others, they must first take care of themselves. Boundaries allow kindness to be given from a place of strength rather than from a place of exhaustion. Without them, kindness is drained, stretched thin, and ultimately diminished. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. This is a difficult truth for many to accept because people naturally want to believe the best in others. They want to assume that kindness is genuine, that a warm greeting means goodwill, that those who appear friendly have good intentions. But appearances can be deceiving. The world is filled with individuals who wear masks, who present themselves as allies while hiding motives that serve only themselves. There are people who will enter your life with sweet words and empty promises, disguising their true intentions behind politeness and charm. They will act as though they care, as though they have your best interests at heart, but in reality, they are only concerned with what they can gain. These people are not always easy to spot because they are skilled at deception. They know how to say the right things, how to present themselves in a way that earns trust. They are patient, waiting for the right moment to reveal their true nature, often when it is too late for you to walk away without cost. It is a painful experience to realize that someone you trusted never truly cared. Many have been betrayed by those they considered close, those they confided in and supported. The sting of betrayal is sharp because it comes from the least expected places. Strangers cannot betray you, only those you have let into your life. This is why discernment is so important. It is not enough to assume that kindness is always genuine, that a smile is always honest. People must be judged by their actions, not their words. Some people are only present when they need something. They show up with warmth and kindness when it benefits them. But the moment they no longer have anything to gain, they disappear. They are not true friends, they are opportunists. They take without giving, they expect loyalty without offering it in return. When difficult times arise, when challenges appear, they are nowhere to be found. They do not offer support, they do not stand by your side. But when things are going well again, when they see an opportunity to benefit, they return as if nothing ever happened. It is easy to be deceived by appearances because manipulation often comes wrapped in kindness. People who want something from you will not reveal their intentions outright. They will build trust slowly, creating a sense of security before they begin to take advantage. They may flatter you, encourage you, and make you feel valued, but over time the truth begins to show. They expect more than they give. They ask for favors but are never there when you need them. They use emotions to control, guilt to manipulate, and charm to get their way. Some individuals do not care about you as a person, they care about what you can do for them. They will pretend to be invested in your well-being while secretly using you for their own gain. When you are useful to them, they treat you well, but the moment you are no longer beneficial, they move on to someone else. They do not value relationships, they value opportunities. True friendship is not based on words or appearances, but on consistent actions. A real friend does not disappear when things become difficult. A real friend does not use kindness as a tool for manipulation. A real friend stands beside you in both good times and bad, offering support without expectation of repayment. This is the difference between those who are genuine and those who are not. It is important to pay attention to patterns. A person's true character is revealed over time. While words can be carefully chosen, actions do not lie. Someone who is consistently absent when you need them, who only shows up when it is convenient, who asks much but gives little, is not a true friend. It may take time to see this clearly, but the signs are always there. Protecting yourself from false friendships is not about becoming cold or untrusting. It is about being wise. It is about recognizing that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. It is about guarding your heart, understanding that trust should be earned rather than freely given. The people you allow into your life influence your path. Some will lift you up, support you, and bring joy. Others will drain you, use you, and leave when they have no more need for you. Recognizing the difference between the two is one of the most valuable lessons you can learn. True kindness must be given with wisdom. Many believe that kindness should be unconditional, that it should be extended to all without question or hesitation. While kindness is a virtue, it is not meant to be given blindly. There must be discernment in where and how kindness is offered, for not all people appreciate it and not all people deserve it. Some see kindness as a gift, something to be cherished and reciprocated. Others see it as an opportunity, something to be exploited for their own gain. A kind heart can be a blessing, but when directed toward the wrong people, it can also become a burden. Not everyone who receives kindness is changed by it. Some take advantage of it, using the goodness of others to further their own selfish desires. Many people have found themselves trapped in cycles of giving, hoping that their kindness will eventually be recognized and appreciated. They go out of their way to help, to accommodate, to support those around them. But instead of gratitude, they are met with expectation. Instead of appreciation, they are taken for granted. Their kindness does not inspire change in others, it merely encourages further taking. There are those who give second chances, third chances, countless opportunities to those who repeatedly prove that they do not value what is being given. Some people will apologize and promise change only to return to the same behaviors once they have secured forgiveness. They do not truly seek transformation, they seek continued access to the benefits of another's kindness. True kindness does not mean tolerating mistreatment. It does not mean allowing others to walk all over you. It does not mean sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of those who refuse to change. There is a difference between being kind and being naive. There is a difference between helping and enabling. Some people mistake kindness for weakness. They assume that those who are kind will never stand up for themselves, will never say no, will never refuse a request. They push limits, taking as much as they can, assuming that kindness means an endless supply of patience and forgiveness. These individuals do not deserve kindness in the same way that those who genuinely value it do. A wise person understands that kindness must be directed with intention. Just as a farmer does not scatter seeds carelessly on barren ground, kindness should not be given where it will be wasted. It should be offered where it can take root, where it can inspire growth, where it can be valued and appreciated. There are times when the kindest thing a person can do is to withhold kindness. Allowing someone to face the consequences of their actions, to experience the results of their behavior, can be far more beneficial than constantly shielding them from reality. When kindness is given without accountability, it can lead to entitlement rather than gratitude. Some individuals will only learn to appreciate kindness when they no longer have access to it. As long as they continue to receive without effort, they will not recognize its value. They will continue to take, to expect, to demand, never stopping to consider the cost to the giver. Being kind does not mean being a victim. It does not mean allowing yourself to be drained by those who only seek to benefit from your generosity. It does not mean ignoring the signs that someone is using you. It means being intentional, being discerning, being aware of where your kindness is going and whether it is producing good fruit. Wisdom and kindness must go hand in hand. Kindness without wisdom can lead to exhaustion, to resentment, to being used by those who do not deserve it. But when kindness is paired with discernment, it becomes a powerful force. It can uplift, encourage, and inspire those who truly value it, while also protecting the one who offers it from being taken for granted.